I love music. I've got my own record label, and
Oh, brilliant. Let's
yeah,
talk about that. Yeah.
yeah. Oh no, so I managed, loved managing my son's band, and just love music, as we all do. Anybody who has a heart loves music, don't they? It's the beat of the whole world.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm a huge Beatles fan,
Are you?
absolutely enormous. Oh
Have
my
you
God, yeah.
have you trolled through Get Back yet? Have you seen Get Back?
No, I haven't
Mm.
actually. I'm saving it for when I'm completely alone in the house and I can have a nice bottle of wine and watch it. But Karl, my husband, bought me recently an original drawing sketch that John Lennon did on a piece of notepaper
Oh yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
Abbey Road.
Oh
And
wow.
we've had it framed, and I sort of say hello to it every morning, and I go, "Morning, John."
That's brilliant. That's one thing me and my wife have in common musically is the love of the Beatles. So
Oh,
they
really?
are my favorite band as well, along with the Ramones. But the Beatles were just
Oh, yes, the Ramones. And do you know what I love about the Ramones is I love that story about the Bay City Rollers and how the Bay City Rollers did that. I've forgotten it went SATUR. It was sort of spelt out the word Saturday. And they did this, they've got a really good PR team, and they did their first live broadcast across America. And the manager of the Ramones saw it and saw all these girls screaming. And then hence they decided to copy a similar song.
All right.
Of their Ramones, where they do the chant and all of that. So that came from the Bay City Rollers. I love stuff like that.
I did not know that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, there you go.
Now you say the Beatles are your favorite band.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite album? Beatles album?
Well, I know it's terribly boring, but you see, I love With the Beatles. That sort of, the first sort of, they did Please Please Me, and then there was, it all was kicking off, wasn't it? With the Beatles, and that wonderful cover, of them in the black silhouette, and you just absolutely love it. And apparently, and I love this story, Revolver album, because Klaus, their friend Klaus, he designed the cover, didn't he? And he brought it to Apple, and the Beatles were all standing around him and Brian Epstein, and he had it in a brown paper bag or something, and it was the first time they'd ever seen it. I don't know if you know this story, forgive me if you do.
No.
But he Klaus pulled it out, and he was like, "Oh, are they going to hate it? Or are they going to love it?" And apparently, Brian Epstein burst into tears and just was so emotional and just went, "Oh, Klaus, you captured my boys. You captured the essence of the boys, And everybody loved it. And I think everybody else came out with one-word answers like, "Yeah, that's great. That's great." But Brian was like really emotional about it all. I know all these nonsense. I've done the tour. I've been into what was Nem's music store, which is now some sort of fashion place, and I've stood in there thinking, God, this is where it all started, Brian sort of his career and everything. Yes, sorry, I can talk about the Beatles.
The Beatles is brilliant. Yeah, I mean, one of the questions I've got for you is, if you had to be abducted by aliens, taken away to Pleiades on some lonely planet, and you had access to one playlist or album telepathically, what would that be?
There you go.
It's like a desert island intergalactic.
Yeah. I love it. No, that would be mine, With the Beatles, over and over and over again. In fact, I had it on repeat in my car. So everywhere I went, I had that on all the time. I used to drive everybody insane. What about you? What would your one album be?
Mine would be Rubber Soul, actually, because it's got the right mix of pop and the kind of new experimentation going into the psychedelic age without being too pompous.
Yeah.
So I love the artwork as well for Rubber Soul. But yeah, it's just a great sounding record, considering what technology they had.
It is one.
It's so well.
And that's what spurred. Yeah, that's what spurred Pet Sounds, wasn't it? The Beach Boys, because apparently Brian listened to it and went, "Oh my God, it's amazing!"
And we had that, great rivalry then, the Beach Boys and the Beatles. That was brilliant. So different times.
But you talk about the cover. Sorry, go on.
No, you carry on.
The cover of Rubber Soul. I think it was Paul McCartney in an interview said that they were stood somewhere and they had a photographer and he'd done the backgrounds, but they were stood in front of a board and
Okay.
with the title on it, and apparently it started to tip backwards or forwards whilst they were outside, but the image, he clicked it at that right time, and so that gives that slightly distorted image. So it was the board behind that was starting to go, and they kept it, which is great.
I just thought they were stoned.
That too.
But did you know, right? Because we go on holiday quite a lot as a family to Suffolk, and there's a place in Lowestoft, okay, this little kind of seaside town. It's called Sergeant Pepper's, and it's a Beatles themed restaurant. It's been there for 20, 25 years. It's an amazing place, and you get all Beatles themed meals and stuff. So it's brilliant. You have to go there. It's got all Beatles memorabilia and zebra crossing.
Oh,
it's fabulous.
Yes. Oh, I'd love that.
And it's a local business that's done it. It's not a big chain or anything. It's not a big chain. It's just a local business. It's brilliant. I think Ed Sheeran's been.
Well, they are the best band in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me more. You said you've managed bands. Who have you managed?
Oh, well, my son's band, I managed them for a good few years. And then I sort of wanted to expand. And I remember seeing a girl, I can't remember her name now, but I was watching The Voice, the very first series, and there was a young girl on there. And I thought, oh my God, and she didn't get through. And I thought, oh, this girl is amazing. So I traveled all the way to Yorkshire to meet her on the, I really wanted to sign her, but she needed her permission from her dad, and her dad wasn't there. And she wanted to think about it, and nothing ever came of that. And then that was it, really. And then my son now lives in America, and he's a solo artist, so I don't sort of manage any artists at the moment. And it's such a hard, if it was in the 80s and 90s, I think I'd still love to manage artists, but because it's so hard now and it's so difficult for any new artist to break through, my God, it was difficult when I was doing it, and I was banging my head against a brick wall. I mean, even just trying to get into venues was just, it was really difficult.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. We're just doing a documentary at the moment on music streaming and how it affects artists. Because my band, we released an album of 1,000 songs, each 30 seconds long. Basically, it's just to protest the lack of royalties from streaming, because so little money involved in recorded music nowadays. Like you say, it's really difficult to get anywhere. I mean, we make about 0.002 pence per stream. That's what we make from Spotify. So I'm doing this film, which is just going into the ins and outs of it all. And it is really, really difficult nowadays for new talent to come through. So we're just trying to raise awareness of that. So what was your experience of running a label? How did that go?
I got a distribution deal, which was fantastic, with a company called In Grooves, and they were really great to me. And I remember asking them if I could come along and spend the day with them. So I live in Cheshire, so I drove to London and I spent the day in their offices, and they were showing me, look at how much money. So to make a £5 a band has to stream. I'm top of my head, I don't know, 3 million streams, to make a ridiculous like that. And I remember, learning about how things have changed from having when we used to print off vinyl and so on, and how difficult everything has turned into. Everything from finding a decent manager, it's all about social media. And that's the sad thing now, is that a lot of labels and managers will not take an artist on unless they have so many followers, so many hits, social media, and it's all about your algorithms and all of that. And that's so sad, because you can have so many wonderful young artists out there who are so incredibly talented, and yet they don't have the followers on Instagram or on TikTok or whatever. And that, to me, it completely blows my mind. And I think it's a real bloody shame that the industry is relying so heavily on social media. And I honestly, I think it's an absolute outrage. I also think that TV shows like The X Factor, The Voice, all of that, I think damaged the music industry an awful lot, because you've got lots of people coming in, and they might not be able to sing without auto-tune, but they look great they look absolutely fantastic on camera, but they're not the whole package. And they say, you know, X factor, but actually a lot of artists, they didn't have the X factor. They just look good, and yet they were groomed, you know, and sort of a lot of boy bands were like that, weren't they, and things like that. And I just think, where are the new Rolling Stones? Where are the new Beatles? Where are these amazing bands? And I know they're out there, but I don't know. It's so sad to see.
Yeah, but they're going to choose other areas of avenues to go to now, I think, because music is, there's no little money in it. It takes a lot to get anywhere. And like you said, there's a lot of pressure from these major labels. They won't sign anyone unless you, like you said, have 1 million followers and all this. And they're putting pressure on their young artists to constantly do TikTok, put out posts all the time. It's not creating music. It's not probably what they want to do, but it's turned into a complete, I don't know, nightmare for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, it is. And especially if you see, the thing is, it's a catch-22, isn't it? So a band wants to go on tour, but you need to have a promoter. The promoter won't jump on unless you have the followers. So it's getting that content on your social media, on your phones, that a band can talk about. If they're on tour, they've got loads to talk about. Here we are in Wigan, let's have a look round Wigan. Here we are, look at the stage, we're setting up, blah 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 blah. If they're not on tour and they're just in a rehearsal studio every day, they've got to come up with fabulous new things to put on as content. And you know, do you give them a snippet of your new single, or is that going to ruin it? Oh, there's no sort of guidelines as to as the right way and the wrong way to do it. And every time you think you're doing the right thing, then somebody, a promoter, will come along, or a label, and go, no, we don't want you to do that, you've been doing that incorrectly. Oh, balls, you know. And that it's just so frustrating for all these young kids. I feel very sorry for them.
Yeah, and indeed. I mean, because we run our own record label, because we got offered so many dodgy deals, especially back in the 90s and 2000s, that we decided to set our own label up. And what we do now, we don't take anyone's copyright. Artists are free to leave at any time. Well, we'll help them promote and advise them if they want, but we don't take any ownership of any of their music, which I'm quite proud of. Really. Yeah,
that's brilliant.
And that's the way it should be, especially in today's age. And we should be helping the new talent, not kind of trying to exploit them, like, you know, has always gone on before. So, okay. So I've just got a few more questions. Right. Have you ever been in a band yourself?
I have.
Okay, tell me more.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was only young. I'd just done my first TV drama called Seaview, which was on BBC One.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And oh my God. And I was invited to join a band, a local band, and we were called Idle Hands. And we were at rehearsal studios near Strawberry Studios in Stockport, Cheshire. And I was so excited because I was the lead singer, and I'd learned a couple of the songs, and we'd actually recorded one that got played on Signal Radio, which was local to where we lived. And I remember we all sat around the radio. Oh my God, they're playing our song. And it was and they actually said, and this is the lead singer is the girl from Seaview, I don't know if you know her, blah 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 blah. And it was the beginning. I was honestly thought, this is it, we're on our way, we're going to be so famous. And then we did our first gig at Poynton Youth Centre, and strings broke and the amps broke, and I was so embarrassed. I think I actually turned my back on the audience and did the rest of the set just absolutely mortified. And I think we sort of got a
oh no.
Yeah, and I think Idle Hands broke up after that. That was the end of that, really.
Well, still you've been in a band, so that's great. Because one of my next questions is, what would be in your ultimate rider?
Oh God, my ultimate rider. Oh gosh, that's because I've never been that sort of, I've never understood riders. I just don't get it. But hey, I suppose I'd say I was once given a Winnebago when we were filming, and I invited all the crew into the Winnebago to put all their stuff. If you need the loo, come on in. Come on, everybody share it. So that's what I would have in my ultimate rider, is that everybody can have whatever is laid on in my dressing room, fridge and all.
That's really sweet. Thank you for that.
But it's the the truth. How can you have a good time if the people around you aren't having a great time? And I just think wherever you are, and if there's young musicians listening to this or whatever, it's all about the group of people that you're with. And if you surround yourself with great people and you treat them how you wish to be treated, you'll have a fantastic time.
Well, indeed. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what are you up to at the moment then? Can you tell us a bit?
Well, yes, I've just I've been writing these books for young adults called the Ghost Hunter Chronicles. The first book was out last year in September, called The House in the Woods, and I was delighted because it became a bestseller. And then the second book comes out, which is called The Ripper of Whitechapel. That comes out on the 29th of September. And then I've just finished writing the third in the series, called The Rise of the Pendle Witches. And I've taken my own paranormal experiences and I've put them into this fictional world, an account of 3 13-year-old teenagers that become ghost hunters. And so that's what I've been doing. I also do a paranormal activity podcast. So I do that weekly and talk about anything and everything to do with the paranormal, from UFOs, alien abductions, mythical monsters, to poltergeist activity and hauntings, and absolutely love it. Yeah, really enjoy doing that. And then I do a comedy podcast with my lovely co-radio host Glenn Hunt and my lovely husband, and we do that once a week as well. So it's all really lovely and busy. And then of course we do Most Haunted Experiences. So most weekends I'm out at a haunted location and people can join us. You can grab tickets online, mosthauntedexperience.com, and just come and join us in a haunted location and have the pants scared off of you. I'm often sprinting.
I know you probably been asked this question a million times, but what is the most haunted, scariest place you've been?
There's been so many, Mark. Honestly, we just celebrated our 20th anniversary of Most Haunted, and we're still going. And as you can imagine, we've traveled the world with this amazing, I don't even call it a show, it's an experience, an investigation. Oh my word. There's just, from a normal house, I remember there was a house in Pontefract. It was a council house on a council estate.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, no one could live in it since the 1970s. And we had the most extraordinary, frightening phenomena. And I remember we sort of finished the investigation and I was sat in the car crying, saying the Lord's Prayer over and over again, because we just had a carving knife wedged in between the seats of the sofa. We'd have things thrown at us. We'd had these trigger objects of ping pong balls, and they were all moving across the floor and then moving back again. There was no logical explanation. Voices, and just, it was a really scary location. And then there's Edinburgh Vaults, where I watched for the first time people being scratched and harmed. And one of I think the sound man ended up in A&E having stitches in his leg because something had cut his leg. And I resigned that night because I was just like, what the hell? What are we dealing with here? I don't want to do it anymore. This is too scary. So I've had lots and lots of really frightening experiences where you actually question, your sanity, and you think, oh my God, if this carries on, I'm going to end up, needing looking after.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about, you mentioned UFOs on your podcast. Have you had any close encounters or seen anything unusual in the sky?
I've seen a UFO. Myself and my husband Karl, we were heading to Ruthin, where we do a Most Haunted Experience at Ruthin Castle. And anybody that's going through that way from Cheshire to North Wales on the back roads, beautiful countryside. And we were there and the roads were clear. There was nothing there, very clear night sky. And we looked up and Karl slowed the car down and there were 2 lights in the sky. And one was above the other. Now, normally with aircraft, you'll see like a flashing red light or orange light, won't you, or whatever. There was no flashing lights whatsoever. And we slowed right down and they were hovering there. And we thought, well, are they, what are they, the lanterns that people have?
Chinese lanterns.
Yeah, are they those? Then we thought, is it a helicopter? Because they were hovering. But again, we didn't see any flashing lights. And we thought, this is really odd. They're just hovering there. And then the most extraordinary thing happened. They both, at exactly the same time, just whizzed off at such a high speed. It was not possible with any flying. It just wasn't a plane, wasn't a helicopter, nothing. And we both experienced that, and quite a lot of people have experienced things on that route. But amazingly, whereabouts in the United Kingdom would you say the most UFO sightings have occurred?
Todmorden, Manchester, I don't know, Pennines.
You'd think, wouldn't you? Somewhere like, you know, yeah. I said Liverpool.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Right,
apparently, yeah, I forgot what year it is, but apparently they had to divert a plane coming into Liverpool Airport because there were thousands of calls made by the locals that seen these strange lights over Liverpool. And apparently there's loads and loads, hundreds and hundreds of reported UFO activity over the Liverpool airspace every year, which is incredible because I don't know why. Maybe the Beatles fans, the aliens.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, how do you explain them? What do you think they are? I mean, I had this conversation with Nick Pope the other day. XMAD. Yeah.
Yesterday, yeah.
Oh, right, brilliant. Yeah, because he's brilliant, and obviously he knows his stuff. But he thinks we're on the verge of something where the truth may come out. Obviously, the US government's holding a lot back, and they're trying to get more out of Congress and things like that. But there's more and more people seeing stuff, and they're filming on their phones, and they're running out of excuses now to say, "Oh, it's just flares or military craft." But the maneuvers that these things are doing, like you said, are just physically impossible for any terrestrial-bound spacecraft to do, and they would kill human pilots instantaneously. So I just wonder what your thoughts are.
For me, I'm an ancient alien theorist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I really believe that when people say to me, you know, are you religious? Do you believe in God? I believe that we were created. And one thing that really sticks in my mind is the two scientists that discovered DNA. I've forgotten the name of one scientist. I think called Crick. Yeah.
Crick and Watson.
Well, yeah. Well, Crick said, I think it was Crick, could have been Watson, but he said that first of all, the DNA double helix actually turns in everybody's body. They all turn in exactly the same way. And he also said, which blew my mind, the DNA double helix strand wasn't created, it was engineered.
Wow.
And to me, that blows my mind, because I think here's the guy who discovered it. Very, very, intelligent people, they're saying that it was engineered. And I really believe that we were created by an alien race. Could be us in the future, I don't know. And I think they have created us, or they've messed with our DNA. And the fact that Crick and Watson actually said that we only use a tiny amount of the DNA, that's a tiny amount that's switched on, as is our brain. We only use a tiny percentage of our brain. So can you imagine what would happen if our DNA suddenly was switched on? Or our brain, all of it was switched on. I mean, it just, to me, blows my mind, literally.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I love where you're coming from with that. I mean, I should put on the census ancient alien as my as my religion. So, but, yeah.
I'm a spiritualist religion, so that, I believe in life after death, and it's so funny because when I say, I'm a spirit, when people say, oh, and I've had it said to my face, oh, you're that ghost woman, aren't you? I think what you do is stupid, and I think, blah, blah, blah. And I always turn around to them and say, well, actually, that's my religion, that's my faith. So, if I said I'm Jewish or I'm Muslim, would you say the same thing then? Yeah. And they go, oh, but it's true. That is my religion,
Yeah. You've got to respect it. I mean, how do you, can we tie in maybe an afterlife with, extraterrestrials being some sort of different sort of consciousness? I mean, I just wondered, because I tend to think the human experience is just a physical part, manifestation of life, and that we're kind of souls going through some sort of journey. I'm not sure what, but
none of us know. And and do you know what, Mark? It's really interesting that you say that, because I had doing meditation, and I had this really weird image, and it was the Earth, and around the Earth was like a grid that we can't see, so like tracks going round it.
Sure.
And I really believe that we are now, the way we are living our life, we're sort of in the middle. On this plane running around the Earth. Yeah. When we leave, depending on what you've done in this life, when you go to the next plane, whether you go up or down or whatever, you're not in heaven, you're still on the earth, but you're in a completely different plane.
Yeah, got you.
You're in an alternate plane, but you see the earth. The trees on the next plane up, the trees are more vibrant. You feel in this blissful state. You possibly have no body, but you're just this amazing being. You know, the sky is all sorts of different colors and different feelings. If you've not done, you know, if you've been particularly cruel, or you've done the most awful things on this level, then you will go down to below, where it'll be grayer. You're still on the planet, but the sky will be black, the trees will be murky, and the atmosphere will feel sort of depressing, and so on. And that's how I see, you know, we're always on the earth plane, but we're on different levels.
Oh, that's really interesting, because that kind of ties in with the evidence from people having near-death experiences, where they kind of interpret, you know, trees and bright skies and a different kind of world. Maybe they're just stepping into that briefly and then coming back.
Yeah, if you're really interested, there's a wonderful gentleman called Jürgen Zhu.
Okay.
And he's on YouTube. Check him out, because it's absolutely fascinating. He's able to go into the different spirit worlds, the different levels, through lucid dreaming and meditation. And so much so that scientists and neurologists are asking him to speak at various functions around the world. And what he's saying is absolutely incredible, which fits in with what I'm saying about these different planes. And he describes, and he's actually a graphic artist, so he actually does these images after each visitation. But he talks about going to the next level, and how beautiful it is, and how he's seen his mother, and how he's spoken to his father and all his loved ones, and how they appear sort of in their 20s and 30s, and how their skin is so soft and beautiful, and how they're so full of energy, and they're so happy. To me, so Jürgen Zhu, and he's done a couple of books as well, which is really interesting stuff. You'll find it fascinating.
And that's through lucid dreaming. Wow.
Yeah. And I'm going tomorrow, so by the time this comes out, I will have done it. I'm going to be regressed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about it. Yeah.
So how does that happen? How do you get regressed?
Well, I'm going to see a lady that was trained by a gentleman called Brian Weiss. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's W-I-E-S-S. And he's written lots and lots of books on regression. And he's trained various people. And this lady has been trained by him. And we're doing it for my Paranormal Activity podcast. You know, we talk about regression, but actually, you know, what does it involve? And so this is the first time that I'm going to be regress, and I've got my homework. I've had to do meditation. I'm not allowed to have any alcohol whatsoever tonight, no caffeine tomorrow, and it's a 3-hour session. And so she's going to take me back and see who I was in a previous life.
Wow, that's exciting. You have to let us know how that goes.
Well, you'll have to listen in. You'll have to listen in.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for today. It's been brilliant. And
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I really have. And what's the name of your band? I'd love to know.
Yeah, the Pocket Gods.
The Pocket Gods. What a great name.
Yeah, thank you. It was we've been going since '98, and John, we got had a bit of a curse going on, because John Peel discovered us, and then he shortly died up afterwards. And then Tony Wilson, Manchester Factory Records, and he invited us up to play in the City Festival, and then he passed away. So we've got this, luckily Tom Robinson, who's also been champion, as he's still alive, luckily. So so we've had this, but we've been going nearly 25 years and just persevering and keep going and
keep going.
I know. And then this year has gone a bit crazy, because we did this 1,000-song album of 30-second songs. The 30 seconds, because you get paid after a track reaches 30 seconds, and you get paid so little. So why write longer songs? It's a bit of a so we did 1,000 of them on one album, which is never
brilliant.
And it's gone crazy, which is really, really good. And you know, I've had meetings with Spotify to discuss the royalty issue, and now I'm producing this film as well. So it's all quite exciting.
What's this film? I'm intrigued. Tell me, what is
Well,
it?
actually, some of the stuff you said would be brilliant if we're allowed to use it. I'll let you know, but nearer the time, because your thoughts on the music industry and how it works is brilliant. Yeah, basically, we're doing a documentary. It's going on Sky, and it's based on our 30-second songs, but also about the economics of music streaming and how the music industry is today and how artists can or can't make it. So it goes into all of that, and I'm interviewing various experts and celebrities and things like that. So it should be quite interesting.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. And it's great to have things like that out there so that young artists can listen to it and go, oh, okay, fine.
Precisely. The best thing happened to me today. The best bit of news we had was this music education magazine in America has just done a big feature on it. So all these school kids all over America are reading about this album, why it was done, and the economics behind music streaming. So they're getting to learn about it at an early stage. So that's brilliant. So I'm so happy about that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
How great is that? How great is that? Oh my God. I mean, there's so many things like, oh my God, I'm just trying to think. I've spent, with being a music manager, thousands. There's this sort of bring your band over to LA, showcase your band. And I did that, and I spent me and my husband spent thousands, got them over to LA. We'll promise you, we'll put you in front of producers, this, that, and the other. And they nearly got signed. And then it fell flat because his wife, this very very rich gentleman who signed bands and had his own label and all of that, and then his wife said, I can't go ahead with it because my wife says I've got too many artists on there and I'm not spending any more money. And we were like, no. So we were absolutely devastated, and they took us to Soho House in LA to say, "We've got the champagne out, you signed, you this, that," and these lads were crying. They were like, "Oh my God, it's amazing!" And then literally the day we were flying out, I'm really sorry, can't go ahead with it.
Oh no, it is the worst business for that, unfortunately.
Oh my God, absolutely. And the money that you can put into it, and you can spend and spend and spend, and it's heartbreaking. It really can be heartbreaking and soul destroying as well.
No, it is. It's hard finding a way in without spending, like you say, thousands on promotion and getting the right PR and agent and all that. And it just eats up money. And where do you get at the end of the day? It's still a bit of a closed shop, the music business. So it's a lot better.
It definitely is. Do you know, I'm sorry to keep you, but it's just it's a nice sort of thing for anybody listening who's trying to break into the music industry. I know I'm not about to talk about music, but I'm a firm believer, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And you know, when we made the pilot for Most Haunted 20 years ago, we put all our money into it, and you know, for 6 months we went to every single television station out there, and we could not get it off the ground. Nobody wanted it. We were even told by one channel that we were unprofessional by bringing this genre into the forefront. How dare we bring? Nobody wants to know about ghosts.
It sounds like Decca Records turning down the Beatles.
Yeah. We were told no, and it was purely a friend of Karl's who happened to be producing in a studio where he was, and he said, "Can I just ask your opinion? I'm trying to sell this program, and we made the pilot program, trying to sell it. Nobody wants it. Can you tell me what's wrong with it? Right, let's have a look at it then." Puts it in. It was a VHS in those days. That's how old it is. Puts it in, watches the whole thing, and then he doesn't say anything, takes it out, slides the VHS across the table and went, "I'll have 16 of those, thank you. We'll have series 1. And that was it. So it was purely because of that. If we hadn't have known this gentleman, Most Haunted never would have got off the ground. So if you really, really, really believe in something and you absolutely love it with all your heart, you keep going, because one day somebody out there will fall in love with whatever it is that you've fallen in love with. And that's the thing. As a label, as a manager, as artist, you have to be 100% totally in love with your manager in love with you as a band. And then God, anything can happen after that.
Wow, that's very inspiring. Thank you. I quite agree. I mean, I'm testament to that myself. You got to keep going, but you got to keep believing. And you haven't got the passion. It's like if you haven't got that hell yeah feeling, then don't do it.
Give up. And if
Yeah.
you're not prepared, if you're an artist and you're not prepared to rehearse,
Mm.
or I know it sounds daft because people go, well, I need to earn money. You need to, if you want to be professional, you need to find a job that suits your rehearsal time, and you need to rehearse nearly every single day, and you need to have that passion. And if your bandmates aren't the same, it's not going to work. You all need to have that absolute belief and passion that you're going to make it, and only then will it work. And if it only takes one, only takes one of them. You look at the Beatles, Pete Best, he didn't kind of gel, he didn't fit in, gone. You know. Anyway, I can talk about them all day. I'll shut up now, Mark.
No, that's fine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll have to talk again sometime. It's brilliant. Thank you. It's been very, very inspiring, and I thank you so much for your time. I feel blessed. Thank you.
Oh no, thank you so much. Let's hope we see any weird UFO lights.